Captain Lee Doyon stood on the bridge of the UES Perseverance, watching the stars through the main window. His hands were steady on the rail. Today was the day humans would meet aliens for the first time. "Captain, we're getting close to the meeting point," said Commander Kim Seojin from her station. She was in charge of keeping the ship safe. Her voice was calm, but her eyes showed worry. "Good, tell Ambassador Choi to get ready," Captain Lee said. He looked at Dr. Park Mingi, who was studying data on her screen. "Doctor, are you ready to meet our new neighbors?" Dr. Park looked up and smiled. "I've been ready my whole life, Captain. This will change everything for humanity." The ship moved slowly through space toward Kepler-4 for to be a planet on the edge of known space. Earth had sent them here to meet aliens, called the Galactic Federation. For 200 years, humans had wondered if they were alone. Today, they would find out. "Sir, we have contact," said the communications officer. "It's a big ship, much bigger than ours." Captain Lee nodded. "Put it on the main screen." The alien ship appeared before them. It was huge and dark, with sharp edges that looked like giant claws. Strange lights blinked along its sides. The human ship looked like a toy next to it. "They're asking us to come aboard their ship," the communications officer said. "They want to meet face to face." Ambassador Choi walked onto the bridge. He was an older man with kind eyes and gray hair. He wore his best diplomatic uniform. "Captain, I'm ready to make history." "Are you sure about this, Ambassador?" Captain Lee asked. "That ship looks ... dangerous." "All first meetings are dangerous," Choi said with a smile. "But that's why we're here. Someone has to take the first step." Dr. Park stood up. "I'd like to come with you, Ambassador. I need to study them to understand how to talk to them." "I'm coming too," Commander Kim said. For protection, Captain Lee thought for a moment. "All right, but stay close together. If something feels wrong, get back to the shuttle fast." The three humans took a small shuttle to the alien ship. As they got closer, they could see how big it really was. The ship was covered in spikes and looked like it was made for war, not peace. "This doesn't look like a diplomatic ship," Commander Kim said quietly. "Maybe warships are all they have," Dr. Park said. "We shouldn't judge them by our standards." They landed in a huge bay inside the alien ship. The air was thick and hot. Strange smells filled their noses. The walls were covered in what looked like scratch marks. Three aliens walked toward them. They were tall, much taller than humans. They looked like giant insects with long arms and legs. Their skin was black and shiny. Sharp claws grew from their hands. Their faces had no expression humans could read. Ambassador Choi stepped forward with his hands open, showing he had no weapons. "Greetings. I am Ambassador Choi of Earth. We come in peace, hoping to learn about you and share knowledge." The alien in front was bigger than the others. Scars covered his body. When he spoke, his voice was like grinding metal. "I am Vrokta. These are my hunters. You are the humans we heard about. Small, weak, no claws, no armor. How did you survive long enough to build ships?" Dr. Park quickly wrote notes about how they talked and moved. These aliens were predators. Everything about them was made for hunting and killing. "We survived by working together and using our minds," Ambassador Choi said. "We hope to do the same with you. Earth offers friendship and trade." Vrakta made a sound that might have been laughter. "Friendship, trade. You have nothing we want. You are prey animals that learned to use tools." Commander Kim's hand moved slowly toward her weapon, but Ambassador Choi shook his head slightly. "Stay calm," his look said. "We may look weak, but humans have survived many dangers," Ambassador Choi said. "We've learned that the best way to solve problems is to work together, not fight." "Work together." Vrakta stepped closer. His claws clicked on the metal floor. "In space, there are only hunters and prey. The strong eat the weak. That is the way. That may be your way, but it doesn't have to be the only way," Ambassador Choi said. Humans believe Vrakta moved faster than a human eye could follow. His claws cut through Ambassador Choi's chest. The old man fell to the floor, blood spreading around him. Commander Kim pulled out her weapon, but Dr. Park grabbed her arm. "Don't," she whispered. "We're outnumbered." Vracta stood over Ambassador Choi's body. "This is what happens to prey that thinks it can talk to hunters. This is what happens to weakness." The alien lifted his head and made a loud, terrible sound. The other aliens joined in. Dr. Park realized this was some kind of victory cry. They were celebrating the murder. Commander Kim knelt beside Ambassador Choi, but it was too late. The kind old man who had wanted to make friends with aliens was dead. "Take your dead prey back to your nest," Vracta said. "Tell your people what you saw here. Tell them that the Vracti rule this part of space. Tell them to stay away, or they will all die like this one." Dr. Park helped Commander Kim lift Ambassador Choi's body. Her hands shook, but her voice was steady. "We'll take him home. You should run now, little prey animals. Run fast, before I decide to hunt you too," Vracta said. They carried Ambassador Choi back to their shuttle. No one spoke during the trip back to the Perseverance. When they got on board, Captain Lee was waiting. He looked at Ambassador Choi's body, then at his crew. His face showed no emotion. "What happened?" Commander Kim started to speak, but her voice broke. Dr. Park took a deep breath and told the story. She spoke slowly and clearly, remembering every detail. When she finished, Captain Lee was quiet for a long time. Then he nodded once. "Kim, take us away from here. Set course for Earth." "Sir, shouldn't we?" Commander Kim started. "We're going home," Captain Lee said. His voice was calm, but something cold had entered his eyes. "Dr. Park, I want you to write down everything you saw and learned about them. Everything, how they move, how they think, what they eat, how they live. Everything." "Sir?" Dr. Park asked. Captain Lee looked at Ambassador Choi's body one more time. "We came here to make friends. They chose to make enemies instead." He turned to look out at the stars. "That was their choice. Now we'll make ours." As the Perseverance flew away from the alien ship, Dr. Park started her report. She wrote down every detail about how they looked, how they acted, what made them proud, what they feared. She didn't know why yet, but she felt like this information would be very important someday. Behind them, Vracta watched the human ship disappear into space. He was proud of his kill. He had shown these weak humans their place in the universe. It never occurred to him that some prey animals might be more dangerous than they looked. It never occurred to him that humans might be different from all the other species. He had hunted. He would learn that lesson later. But by then, it would be too late. 6 months had passed since Ambassador Choi died. Earth looked very different now. In a secret building deep underground. Director Yoon Tae-young walked through long hallways filled with busy people. Scientists studied alien technology. Soldiers trained with new weapons. Computer experts worked on breaking alien codes. The sign on the door read, Xenological Warfare Division. It was humanity's newest and most secret department. "Show me what we've learned," Director Yoon said as he entered the main room. Dr. Park Minji stood before a huge screen showing pictures of Vracti aliens. She had not slept much in 6 months. Her eyes were red, but her voice was strong. "We know a lot about them now," she said. "The Vracti are pure predators. They live to hunt and kill. They have no art, no music, no books, only war and hunting." "What about their society?" Director Yoon asked. "Simple, but effective," Dr. Park said. "Changing the screen, the strongest Vracti becomes the leader. They keep power by killing anyone who challenges them. They measure success by how many other creatures they kill." Admiral Lee Do-yeon walked in. He had been promoted after returning from the first contact mission. His face was harder now, older. "Admiral, good timing," Director Yoon said. Dr. Park was just explaining Vracti culture. "They think might makes right," Admiral Lee said quietly. "They believe the strong should rule the weak. They see kindness as weakness." Dr. Park nodded. "That's why they killed Ambassador Choi. He tried to be peaceful, so they saw him as prey. And now?" Director Yoon asked. "Now we use their nature against them," Admiral Lee said. A small smile appeared on his face. It was not a kind smile. On the screen, Dr. Park showed a map of space. Red dots marked Vrakti territory. Blue dots showed their prey species. The Vrakti control 12 star systems, she explained. They hunt 6 different alien species. These species are weak and scared. They give the Vrakti food, slaves, and anything else they want. What's our plan? Director Yoon asked. Agent Han Juan stepped out of the shadows. She was small and quiet, the kind of person people forgot about. That made her perfect for her job. I've been living among them for 4 months, she said. They don't know I'm human. My biosuit makes me look like a Kethmori. The Kethmori were one of the species the Vrakti hunted. They looked like tall, thin humans with grey skin and big eyes. How did you manage that? Director Yoon asked. The Vrakti don't really look at their prey, Agent Han said. They just see food that talks. As long as I act scared and weak, they ignore me. What have you learned? Agent Han smiled. Everything, where they sleep, what they eat, how they make decisions, when they have babies. Most importantly, I learned about their triumph displays. Dr. Park took over. This is the key to everything. Vrakti need to show off their kills to other Vrakti. It's not enough to just hunt. They have to prove they're the best hunters. Like showing off a trophy, Admiral Lee said. Exactly, but it's more than that. Dr. Park changed the screen again. These displays trigger chemicals in their bodies. Without regular triumph displays, Vrakti become sick. They can't have babies. They get weak and depressed. Director Yu leaned forward. Are you saying they need to kill to survive? Not just kill, Dr. Park said. They need to kill in front of other Vrakti. They need to brag about it. They need to feel superior to their prey. So what happens if their prey disappears? Admiral Lee asked. Dr. Park and Agent Han looked at each other and smiled. That's Phase 2, Agent Han said. 3 months later, strange things started happening in Vrakti space. The Kethmori lived on 7 worlds. They were farmers and artists, gentle people who had never hurt anyone. The Vrakti hunted them for sport and took their food. Then human ships appeared. This is Captain Namyoonji of the Earth ship Justice. The voice said over Kethmori radios. We're here to help. Pack only what you need. We're taking you somewhere safe. The Kethmori were confused but desperate. For generations, they had lived in fear. Now, strange aliens who looked almost like them were offering help. Who are you? Asked Elder Soph, the Kethmori leader. We're humans, Captain Nom said, as she walked down the ship's ramp. The Vrakti killed our ambassador. We don't like bullies, but the Vrakti will be angry if we leave, Elder Soth said. They'll hunt us across the galaxy. Let them try, Captain Nam said. We've prepared new worlds for you. Worlds the Vrakti don't know about. You'll be safe there. In 2 weeks, all 7 Kethmori worlds were empty. The humans had moved every single Kethmori to hidden colonies far from Vrakti space. The same thing happened to the Zephyrians, a species of flying people who lived in floating cities. Human ships came and offered them safety. The Zephyrians were smart enough to say yes. Then the Rakari, a race of small furry creatures who were excellent engineers. Then the Melodians, who sang beautiful songs that the Vrakti hated. Then the crystalline, living rock people, who built amazing structures. One by one, all the Vrakti's traditional prey vanished. But the humans didn't just take them away. They left something behind. On every empty world, the humans placed communication devices. When Vrakti ships arrived looking for their prey, they found messages instead. The species you are looking for has requested relocation assistance, the messages said. They are now under human protection. Please direct any complaints to the Earth Diplomatic Corps. And then something very strange happened. The messages started giving the Vrakti helpful information. If you're looking for new prey, the Gornish pirates have been attacking peaceful traders near the Altair system. They have no protection and carry valuable cargo. The information was always correct. The Gornish pirates were real dangerous and had no friends. When the Vrakti attacked them, it was a good fight. The Vrakti won and felt proud. More messages came. Information about hostile alien fleets, dangerous criminals, and aggressive species that threatened everyone. The Vrakti started checking for human messages whenever they arrived at empty worlds. In his throne room on the Vrakti homeworld, Vrakta read the latest reports with growing confusion. Our prey is gone, his Lieutenant Gorth reported. All of them vanished. Impossible, Vrakta growled. You can't move entire species without someone noticing. The humans did it, sir. They came with big ships and took everyone away. Vrakta's claws scraped against his throne. Those weak little mammals, they ran away after I killed their ambassador. They're cowards. But sir, they left messages. Information about enemies we can hunt instead. Every tip has been accurate. This confused Vrakta even more. Why would the humans help their enemies? It made no sense. Maybe they're trying to make friends, Gorth suggested. Maybe they realize we're stronger and want to serve us. Vrakta thought about this. It did seem logical. The weak often tried to gain favor with the strong by bringing gifts. These gifts of information were quite useful. Fine, he decided. If the humans want to serve us by finding prey, let them. It saves us the trouble of hunting for food. But deep in space, researcher Osunho was watching everything from a hidden human base. He studied the reports his agents sent back. He counted how many Vrakti babies were being born. He measured how often they held triumph displays. The numbers were dropping fast. It's working, he told Admiral Lee over a secure communication channel. Without easy prey for their displays, their birth rate has dropped 30% in just 3 months. Good, Admiral Lee said. What about the information we're giving them? Perfect. Every enemy we point them toward is real and dangerous. The Vrakti are fighting harder battles now. They're taking casualties, but they're winning just enough to feel proud. They don't suspect anything. No, sir. They think we're trying to please them. They can't imagine that prey might set traps for predators. Admiral Lee looked out at the stars from his command ship. Somewhere out there, Vrakta was sitting on his throne, thinking he was the most dangerous creature in the galaxy. He had no idea that his species was slowly dying. He had no idea that every gift the humans gave him was bringing his people closer to extinction. Phase 3 starts next month, Admiral Lee said. Make sure our people are ready. Yes, sir, and Admiral. What is it, researcher? Oh, Ambassador Choi would be proud. We're saving innocent people and stopping bullies. We're doing it the human way. Admiral Lee nodded. Yes, we remember our friends, and we never forget our enemies. The conversation ended. In space, human ships moved quietly through the darkness, carrying rescued aliens to safety and preparing for the next phase of their plan. And on the Vrakti homeworld, Vrakta prepared for another hunt, not knowing that he had become the prey. 1 year had passed since Ambassador Choi's death. In the Vrakti homeworld's capital city, alarms screamed through the night. Vrakta stormed into the medical center, his claws scraping the metal floor. Scientists cowered as he approached their leader, Dr. Grenth. Explain this to me again, Vrakta growled, pointing at the charts on the wall. Use simple words. Dr. Grenth's hands shook as he spoke. My lord, our birth rate has dropped 60%. Our warriors are getting sick. Many can't hunt anymore. They just sit and stare at nothing. Why? Vrakta demanded. We don't. No, nothing has changed. We still hunt. We still win battles. But something is wrong. Vrakta grabbed Dr. Grenth by the throat. Find out what's wrong, fix it, or I'll feed you to the young. Far away, on a human space station, Dr. Shin Ariam watched the reports with satisfaction. She was humanity's first xenopsychologist, an expert in how alien minds worked. The Vrakti are breaking down exactly as predicted, she told Admiral Lee. During their weekly meeting, without regular displays over helpless prey, their brain chemistry is changing. They're experiencing something they've never felt before. What's that? Admiral Lee asked. Depression, anxiety, self-doubt. For a species that defines itself through domination, these feelings are poison. Colonel Park Ji-hoon, the military strategist, leaned forward. Are we ready for Phase 3? Dr. Shin smiled. Oh yes, it's time to teach them what fear really means. In Vrakti space, strange things began happening. Captain Roth of the Vrakti warship Blood Drinker was hunting near the Proxima system when his sensors detected something. Sir, there's a ship at the edge of our sensor range, his officer reported. What kind of ship? Captain Roth asked. Unknown design, small. It's just, ... Sitting there, Captain Roth looked at the screen. The ship was tiny compared to his massive warship. Hail them, tell them to surrender or be destroyed. Sir, they're not responding, they're just watching us. Then destroy them, sir, they're too far away. By the time our weapons reach them, they'll be gone. Captain Roth studied the strange ship. Something about it made him uncomfortable. Set course to intercept. But as his ship moved closer, the unknown vessel moved away, always staying just out of weapons range. It followed them for 3 hours, never attacking, never communicating, just watching. Then it vanished. Where did it go? Captain Roth demanded. It just ... disappeared, sir. No engine signature, no jump flash. One moment it was there, the next it was gone. That night, Captain Roth couldn't sleep. Who were those watchers? What did they want? The same thing happened to Captain Vex near the Betelgeuse system. A small ship appeared, watched for hours, then vanished. Captain Thorg reported the same thing near Alpha Centauri. All over Vrakti space, the watching ships appeared. They never attacked, they never made demands. They just watched and waited. Then the messages started. Every Vrakti communication device in the galaxy received the same transmission at the same time. It was a recording of an old human man speaking calmly. My name is Ambassador Choi Hyun-woo of Earth. If you are hearing this, it means I am dead, killed while trying to make peace. But my death will not be forgotten. Humanity remembers. Humanity learns. And humanity is very, very patient. The message repeated every day at the same time. Vrakti tried to block it, but it came from everywhere and nowhere. Their own communication systems seemed to be sending it. In his throne room, Vrakta raged at his advisors. How are they doing this? He roared. How are these weak humans getting into our systems? His chief technology officer, Klex, was too scared to meet his eyes. We don't know, my lord. The signal appears to be coming from our own equipment. But that's impossible. Someone would have to reprogram every device in the Empire, then find them, hunt them down. We've tried, sir. We can't find any human ships in our territory. Only those watchers at the edges of our space. Vrakta's claws dug into his throne. The watchers, yes sir. Small ships that appear and disappear. They never enter our space, just watch from the borders. Every fleet commander has reported them. Why? Don't we attack them? They stay too far away, sir. And when we try to chase them, they vanish. That night, alone in his chambers, Vrakta admitted something he had never thought possible. He was worried. For the first time in his life, he felt like prey instead of predator. The watching got worse. Every Vrakti ship that left port found human vessels waiting at the edge of sensor range. The humans never attacked, never approached. They just watched with the patience of mountains. Vakti warriors began having nightmares. They dreamed of small ships with dark windows, following them through space. Some refused to go on hunting missions. Others came back changed, jumping at shadows. They're always there, whispered Commander Nex after returning from patrol. Watching, waiting. What are they waiting for? But the humans had other plans too. Elder Soth of the Kethmori stood before an assembly of alien leaders on the human world of Haven. The Zephyrians floated in the air above him. The Rakari sat in small chairs built for their size. All the species the Vrakta used to hunt were there. The humans saved us, Elder Soth said. They gave us new homes, new hope. Now, they asked for our help. Captain Nam Yunji stepped forward. We're not asking you to fight. We would never ask peaceful people to become warriors. But you know the Vrakti better than anyone. You know their habits, their weaknesses, their fears. What do you want us to do? Asked a Zephyrian elder, her wings shimmering in the light. Help us understand them completely. Share your stories. Tell us everything about how they think, how they act, what makes them proud, what makes them angry. A small Rakari engineer raised his hand. The Vrakti fear losing face more than losing life. If other Vrakti think they're weak, they'd rather die than live with shame. They hate being laughed at, added a melodian singer. We learned never to smile around them, even when happy. They thought we were mocking them. Captain Nam took careful notes. Every piece of information was valuable. There's something else, Elder Soth said quietly. The Vrakti have a legend. They believe that, someday, their greatest enemy will come from the stars. This enemy won't be stronger or faster, but it will be smarter. It will know them better than they know themselves. What happens in the legend? Captain Num asked. The enemy watches and waits. It learns everything about the Vrakti. Then, when the time is right, it strikes once and ends them forever. Captain Nam smiled. That's a very interesting legend. Back in Vrakti space, the psychological pressure continued to build. Varakta called another war council. His advisors shuffled into the room, their eyes darting to the shadows. The daily message from the dead human ambassador had been playing. For months, everyone was on edge. Report, Varakta commanded. Birth rates are down 70%, Dr. Grenth said. Many warriors refuse to leave the homeworld. Others have stopped eating. Some just sit and stare at the walls. What about our enemies? Are we still winning battles? Yes, sir, but the battles are getting harder. The enemies the humans tell us about are more dangerous each time. We're losing. Ships. At least we're still hunting, Varakta said. Sir, his intelligence chief spoke up nervously. We think the humans are choosing our enemies for us. Every target they suggest has been hostile to other species. It's like they're using us to clean up the galaxy's criminals and aggressors. Paused. What are you saying? I'm saying maybe the humans aren't trying to help us. Maybe they're using us. The room fell silent. The idea that prey might be manipulating predators was almost unthinkable. Impossible, Varakta said. But his voice lacked conviction. We are Varakta. We are the hunters. We are the strongest. But deep inside, doubt grew like cancer. For a species that had never questioned their place in the universe, doubt was the deadliest poison of all. Outside, in the darkness of space, human ships waited and watched. They had learned patience from their prey. They had learned cunning from their enemies. And they had learned that the best way to destroy a predator was to make it forget how to hunt. The Varakti were learning what it meant to be afraid. And they were learning that fear was something they couldn't kill with claws and teeth. Phase 4 would begin soon. And when it did, the hunters would finally become the hunted. 18 months after Ambassador Choi's death, Varakta stood in his war room staring at a map of the galaxy. Red dots showed where his people used to be strong. Now, half the dots were grey. Dead worlds, empty ships, silent voices. How many? He asked without turning around. His lieutenant Gorth spoke carefully. 40% of our population is gone, my lord. The birth rate has stopped completely. Our warriors are dying faster than we can replace them. From what? Disease, poison, war, from ... Sadness. Sir, they just give up and die. Varakta's claws scraped against the metal table. In all of Vrakti history, no warrior had ever died from sadness. They died fighting, or they died hunting, or they died in glorious battle. They didn't just ... stop. And the watchers. Still there. Always watching. Some of our captains refuse to leave port. They say the watchers are counting us, measuring us for something. Varakta turned around. His eyes were wild with rage and something else, something no Vrakti should ever feel. Fear no more, he growled. I am done being patient. I am done being watched. I am done with these games. My lord, call every ship, every warrior, every hunter, We're going to find the human homeworld, and we're going to kill every last one of them. Then we'll see who watches who. Deep in space, Agent Han Gyuan sat in her hidden listening post. Her equipment had been monitoring Vrakta communications for months. When she heard Vrakta's orders, she smiled. "Admiral," she said into her communicator. "The fish is taking the bait." Admiral Lee's voice came back calm and steady. "Are you?" "Sure. Positive Vrakta is gathering his entire fleet. He's planning to attack Earth directly. He wants to end this with one big battle." "How long do we have?" 2 weeks, maybe 3. They're moving slowly because half their ships are barely functional. Perfect. Initialize Operation Nightfall." "Yes, sir. And Admiral, it's been an honor serving under you." "The honor is mine, Agent Han. See you on the other side." 2 weeks later, Vrakta's massive fleet approached the human colonies on the edge of Earth's territory. 300 Vrakti warships, the largest fleet in their history, ready to wipe humanity from the stars. "Sir," his scanner operator reported, "the colonies appear to be ... empty." Vrakta looked at the screens, showing the human worlds below. Cities stood intact, but no life signs appeared on the sensors. Streets were empty. Ships sat abandoned in ports. Impossible. Humans don't abandon their homes. They're weak, but they fight for their nests. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission." Admiral Lee's face appeared on the main screen. He looked older now, with lines around his eyes. But his voice was as calm as ever. "Hello, Vrakta. I've been waiting to meet you properly." "You Vrakta?" roared. "You're the one behind all of this." "Behind what?" Admiral Lee asked politely. "I'm just a human admiral doing my job. You poisoned my people. You made them weak. You turned them into cowards." Admiral Lee tilted his head. "I didn't do anything to your people, Vrakta. I simply removed their toys." "What? You needed helpless. Pray to feel strong. When we took away your victims, you discovered something terrible. You were never actually strong. You were just bullies picking on the weak." Vrakta's rage grew beyond words. "I will kill you all. I will hunt every human in the galaxy." "With what?" Admiral Lee asked calmly. "Your birth rate is 0. Your warriors are dying of depression. Your fleet is falling apart. You have maybe 5 years before your species goes extinct." "You're lying, am I?" "Look around you, Vrakta. How many of your ships are at full strength? How many of your warriors still believe they're invincible?" Vrakta looked at his own bridge crew. They were thin and tired. Many had the empty look of people who had lost hope. Even Gorth, his most loyal lieutenant, seemed smaller than before. "But I can make you an offer," Admiral Lee continued. "Surrender yourself for trial in Ambassador Choi's murder. Admit your crimes. And I'll give your people the medical help they need to survive." "Never," Vrakta screamed. "I am Vrakti. I bow to no one." "Then you'll watch your species die," Admiral Lee said simply. "Your choice." Vrakta cut the transmission and turned to his fleet commander. "Destroy everything. If we can't find humans to kill, we'll destroy their empty worlds. Show them what happens when they mock the Vrakti." "Yes, my lord." The Vrakti fleet spread out to attack the abandoned colonies. Weapons charged, targeting systems locked onto cities and spaceports. Then space exploded with light. Thousands of human ships appeared from nowhere. They had been hiding, invisible, surrounding the Vrakti fleet for hours. Advanced cloaking technology, stolen from a dozen different species the Vrakti had terrorized, made the human ships impossible to detect. But the humans didn't attack. They just surrounded the Vrakti fleet, weapons pointed inward, waiting. "How?" Vrakta whispered. "How are there so many of you?" Admiral Lee's voice came from every speaker in the Vrakti fleet. "Did you think we were alone? Every species you ever hunted is here. The Kethmori built our sensors. The Zephyrians designed our engines. The Rakari improved our weapons. The Melodians taught us patience. The Crystalline gave us materials." Around the Vrakti fleet, ships of dozens of different designs appeared. Former prey species, now armed and ready, all working together. "You created this alliance," Admiral Lee continued. Every species you terrorized came to us for help. Every refugee you created became our ally. Every world you destroyed taught others what you really are. We are Vrakti. Vrakta roared. We are the apex predators of the galaxy. No, Admiral Lee said quietly. You're just bullies. And bullies only have power until someone stands up to them. Captain Num Yunji's voice joined the conversation. Vrakti fleet, you are completely surrounded. Your weapons are inferior to ours. Your ships are outnumbered 10 to 1. You have two choices: surrender or die. Vrakta looked at his tactical display. The humans were right. His 300 ships were surrounded by over 3,000 enemy vessels. Many of his own ships were reporting system failures. His warriors looked defeated before the battle even started. Sir Gorth said quietly, maybe we should consider. No. Vrakta's claws cut across Gorth's throat. His lieutenant fell, bleeding. On the deck, I am Vrakti, I do not surrender. But around him, his own crew began backing away. The senseless killing of Gorth, their respected lieutenant, broke something in them. They had followed Vrakta because he was strong. Now he just seemed insane. Sir, his weapons officer said carefully, our guns are powered down. Many ships report they cannot fight. Then we'll ram them. We'll show these prey animals what courage means. But when Vrakta gave the order to attack, only a dozen ships responded. The others sat motionless in space. Their crews unwilling to die for a leader who had lost his mind. Admiral Lee's voice filled the silence. Vrakta, you've lost. Your own people won't follow you anymore. They're tired of dying for your pride. This isn't possible, Vrakta whispered. Prey doesn't hunt predators. The weak don't defeat the strong. You're right, Admiral Lee agreed. The weak don't defeat the strong, but you were never strong, Vrakta. You just thought you were, because you only fought helpless victims. We conquered worlds. We ruled star systems. You conquered farmers and artists. You ruled peaceful people who couldn't fight back. But when you faced real opposition, look what happened. Around the Vrakti fleet, the human alliance waited, patient, disciplined, ready. Last chance, Admiral Lee said. Surrender yourself for justice, and your people get medical aid. Refuse, and we leave you here to watch your species fade away. Vrakta looked around his bridge. His crew was broken, his fleet was defeated. His empire was dying. For the first time in his life, the apex predator of the galaxy realized he had become prey. He started to speak, then stopped. The choice was his. Die with pride, or live with shame. For a creature that had never learned the difference between strength and cruelty. It was the hardest decision he had ever faced, in the silence of space. Surrounded by enemies he had created, Vrakta finally understood what Ambassador Choi had tried to tell him 18 months ago. Sometimes, the prey fights back, and sometimes, the hunters become the hunted. 2 years after Ambassador Choi's death, Vrakta sat in a small cell made of clear metal. Outside his window, he could see his homeworld spinning slowly in space. His people were still alive, but they were no longer the same. The cell was on a space station built by humans and their allies. It orbited the Vrakti homeworld like a metal moon, always watching, always reminding everyone below that the old ways were gone. Time for your daily report, said Dr. Park Mingi as she entered the cell. She was older now, with grey in her hair, but her eyes were still sharp and kind. Vrakta didn't look at her. He stared out at his world. Another day in paradise, he said bitterly. Your people are doing better, Dr. Park said, sitting in the chair across from him. The birth rate is up 15% this month. Because you drug them with your chemicals, we provide medical treatment for the depression your culture created, Dr. Park corrected. The same depression that would have killed your entire species if left untreated. Vrakta finally turned to look at her. Once, he would have tried to kill this small human woman with his bare claws. Now, he just felt tired. Why keep me alive? He asked. Why not just execute me for killing your ambassador? Because someone needs to remember, Dr. Park said. Someone needs to understand what happened here and why it must never happen again. You want me to be your example, your trophy? No, Vrakta. We want you to be a teacher. Down on the planet below, young Vrakta attended schools run by humans and their allies. They learned mathematics from Kethmori teachers. They studied art with Melodian instructors. They built things alongside Rakari engineers. But most importantly, they learned about something their ancestors had never understood: cooperation. Working together makes us stronger, explained Teacher Yim to a class of young Vrakti. She was human, but the children weren't afraid of her. They had never known a time when humans were enemies. A young Vrakti named Kresh raised his claw. Teacher Yim, my grandfather says humans are weak. He says we used to be the strongest in the galaxy. Teacher Yim nodded. Your grandfather is right about one thing. Humans are not the strongest species. We're not the fastest or the smartest either. Then how did you beat us? Asked another young Vrakti. We didn't beat you, Vex. We helped you. The children looked confused. This was always the hardest part to explain. Your ancestors were sick, Teacher Yim continued. They thought being strong meant hurting others. They thought being powerful meant making others afraid. But that kind of strength is like a fire that burns everything, including itself. What do you mean? Kresh asked. If you only know how to destroy, eventually you have nothing left to destroy except yourself. Your people were dying because they had forgotten how to create, how to build, how to help each other. Young Vex raised her claw. But my mother says, you tricked us. She says you used our nature against us. Teacher Yim smiled sadly. That's true. We did use your nature against you, but only because your nature was hurting innocent people. Sometimes, the only way to stop a bully is to show them what it feels like to be bullied. In the space station above, President Lee Suyang, Admiral Lee's sister, met with ambassadors from across the galaxy. The meeting room was full of different species, all talking and working together. The Vrakti integration program is showing excellent results, reported Ambassador Kim Nari, who had taken Ambassador Choi's place. Crime is down 90% in their territory. Trade is up 300%. And most importantly, they're learning to see other species as partners instead of prey. What about resistance? Asked Elder Soth of the Kethmori. Some of the older Vrakti still believe in the old ways. There is some resistance, President Lee admitted. But it's mostly from Vrakti, who are too old to change. The younger generation is adapting well. They're actually excited about learning new things. And Vrakta asked Captain Namyunji, now an admiral herself, still in his cell, still angry, but no longer dangerous. Dr. Park says he's beginning to understand what his actions really cost. Back in the cell, Vrakta watched a group of young Vrakti playing with human and Kethmori children in a park below. They were laughing together, building something with colorful blocks. They look happy, Dr. Park observed. They look weak, Vrakta replied, but there was no anger in his voice anymore, just sadness. Do they, or do they look free? Vrakta didn't answer. He had been thinking about this for months. The children below were smaller than adult Vrakti, but they seemed bigger somehow. They stood taller, they smiled more. They weren't afraid all the time. I had a choice, he said suddenly. What? When your ambassador came to us, I had a choice. I could have listened to him. I could have tried to understand. Dr. Park waited. This was the first time Vrakta had ever admitted he might have been wrong. But I was afraid, he continued. Afraid that if we weren't the strongest, we were nothing. Afraid that if we didn't dominate others, they would dominate us. And now, Vrakta pointed at the playing children. Now I see that there was a third option. We could have been equals. It's not too late, Dr. Park said gently. You could still choose that path. Vrakta was quiet for a long time. Then he looked at her with eyes that seemed older and wiser than before. I killed an innocent man who came in peace. I led my people to the edge of extinction because of my pride. How do I come back from that? One step at a time, Dr. Park said. The same way your people are rebuilding. The same way anyone heals from trauma. Your species is strange, Vrakta said. You had every right to destroy us completely. Instead, you saved us. Why? Dr. Park smiled. Because Ambassador Choi taught us something important. He said that the measure of a species isn't how well they can destroy their enemies, but how well they can heal their wounds. Even the wounds their enemies caused, especially those. That evening, Vrakta made a decision. He asked Dr. Park to bring him a recording device. I want to make a statement, he said. For the young ones, for the future. The recording was broadcast to every Vrakti world. Vrakta's face appeared on screens across the galaxy. Older and more tired than anyone remembered him. I am Vrakta, once called the Render, former leader of the Vrakti Empire. I speak to you from a human prison, where I am held for the murder of Ambassador Choi Hoon-woo of Earth. He paused, gathering his strength. I was wrong. Everything I believed about strength, about power, about what it means to be Vrakti, I was wrong. I led our people down a path that would have ended in our extinction. All because I was too proud to admit that I was afraid. Young Vrakti across the galaxy stopped what they were doing to listen. The humans could have destroyed us. They were strong enough, smart enough, patient enough. But instead, they chose to save us. They chose to teach us. They chose to show us a better way. Vrakta looked directly into the camera. Learn from my mistakes. Choose cooperation over domination. Choose building over destroying. Choose to be strong enough to be gentle. The recording ended, but its message spread throughout the galaxy. Other aggressive species watched and learned. The Galactic Federation adopted new laws about first contact, and most importantly, the children, Vrakti, human, and all the others, grew up in a galaxy where strength meant helping others, not hurting them. Years later, when young beings asked their teachers about the old days, they would hear the story of Ambassador Choi, who died trying to make peace. They would learn about Admiral Lee, who turned revenge into rescue. And they would remember Vrakta, who learned too late that true strength comes from admitting when you're wrong. But they would also learn the most important lesson of all, that no matter how dark things seem, there's always a choice. Always. A chance to be better. And in a galaxy full of different species, different worlds, and different ways of thinking. That choice made all the difference. The apex predators had learned to be something better than predators. They had learned to be people